Avengers Assemble! Today we are looking at the Hasbro Thor 3 3/4 inch figure line, and this is Secret Strike Loki. Honestly, yeah, the two movie accurate Lokis in this line, this is the lesser of the two, I'll say off the bat, just from the movie itself. This is the look of the character when he first goes into Jotunheim and in the beginning of the movie and all that stuff. Quite honestly, I'd prefer the one where he's king towards the end of the movie with the big iconic horns and all that stuff. But unfortunately, that figure is notoriously hard to come by. I've never actually seen it in stores, and it's pretty rare online still as well. So, for lack of anything better, we have this Loki for now. Well, he's called Secret Strike Loki, and I don't think there's any keeping this thing a secret. This thing is the size of a small city block, and it's his ridiculous accessory. Now, of course, you can't just have a giant, ridiculous sword. That would just be stupid. You have to be able to hit the button on here, and it pops apart to make a Pac-Man. This is Asgardian Pac-Man. And then you pull these two side pieces off, and then you have Loki's toothpick. I guess it's supposed to be a sword. And this is about the size a sword should be within this line, except it's got this ridiculous bottom part. Now the two Pac-Man sides, they have handles that come out, and you can put those into Loki's hands. And here he has, I don't know, two yellow pieces on sticks. I'm sure that's a wonderful weapon. I have no clue what the heck these are supposed to be. I put one in his hand like this, and I put the other, inverted. I thought maybe it would look cooler one way or the other, but it really doesn't. It just really looks ridiculous. This side probably looks worse because it looks like a really lame, laser gun or something. But both of them just look really bad. Loki does, however, come with his movie-accurate accessories, which are these two little daggers. It's kind of neat. They're not both the same. You have one that has a kind of a shorter little hilt there, and this one, it's kind of just more of a block. It's not really as knife-like. It's neat that we got some diversity with them. I don't know if that's really movie-accurate. I've never seen a close-up of the prop or anything, but it's neat that there's some variety. Now these he does hold really well, and I rarely ever take them out of his hands just for fear of losing them, because they are really tiny. The figure itself is pretty nice. The likeness, it's better than Thor's likeness. I don't think it's a perfect likeness of the actor, but it's still pretty good. It's definitely passable as Loki. He's got his black greased back hair. Mine, on both sides, the paint from the ear kind of bled over onto the hair a little bit, which looks a little goofy. His costume's pretty cool, pretty accurate to the movie. This version of it's kind of more simple, just kind of like a tunic or whatever. It's got some metal plating up in his shoulders. Down here he has a loose, soft plastic skirt, which has four little tassel-y parts, separate parts down here at the bottom. Which is cool, kind of gives it a sense of movement, and I'm sure you could probably get in some cool battle poses or whatever. He has his brown pants with kind of his guards down here. Not really boots, just guards over his shoes. And pretty basic. It's a simple enough costume. It's movie accurate, and it works fine. The coloration's pretty nice. It's a good shade of green, pretty consistent through everything. That's just the different tones and all that stuff. For articulation, he has the same head as Thor with the hinge and ball joint. Unfortunately, that kind of neck on a figure forces you to have to make their neck a little thicker. And it doesn't really suit the character to have this big beefy neck that he does. I almost would have been happier with just a standard ball joint, and to forego the extreme range of motion to have a more character-accurate neck. He's such a small guy, it kind of looks weird for him to have that neck. He has the mid-torso ball joint, pin and socket shoulder, so he has a great range of motion there. Bend and swivel at the elbow. The bending is kind of limited due to his costume. Rotate at the wrist. He has the movie-style balls down here for his waist joint that allow you to move one direction out to the side and then to have to rotate the ball to be able to move it another way. His really aren't limited by his costume because it is that soft rubber and it does get out of the way pretty well. Rotate the upper leg, bend the knee at 2 points, bend at the ankle, and rotate. So this is the Loki from the first wave of Thor figures. And I think that was an intentional move by Hasbro. I really don't know if we were supposed to know before the movie, like if you weren't a comic fan, that Loki was going to be the bad guy in the movie. And I think that's part of the reason why the King Loki was pushed back within the waves into Wave 3. So this being the more friendly, brotherly Loki, I think that's kind of why they put it in Wave 1. And unfortunately, that means it's oversaturated, way too easy to come by, and I don't like it. I mean, it's a serviceable figure, it's fine, but if I'm going to pick up a Loki figure, I kind of want it more to be the enemy figure. I complain a lot with these waves that we don't get enough bad guys. I mean, so many heroes in the Marvel world that get made, and especially in the movie lines, you normally have one or two bad guys, maybe a bad guy and some henchmen. And that's what the Thor line's like. And the fact that the big bad final battle Loki is really hard to come by, and the friendly fighting alongside Thor version of Loki is really easy to come by, it just makes it less desirable. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a cool figure. It's still a good figure from the line. The articulation's good, the costume's good. Pretty much everything except for that stupid sword is pretty good. But I just wish they would have made the King Loki version more accessible. And who knows, maybe somewhere in the woodworks, the lines will get ungummed up. We'll start seeing Wave 3 and 4 hitting stores more regularly, or in some level of numbers. It took a while for Wave 2 to hit, so maybe Wave 3 will eventually get there. And I could have my King Loki and I'll be happier, and maybe this figure won't look so bad. But as someone who's been looking out for that figure for a while and hasn't been able to find it, this figure is almost kind of just taunting, laughing at me. So, mildly not recommending this guy. If you like this part in the movie, there's nothing wrong with the figure in general. It's just not the figure that I want of Loki. This has been another Outside the Box review, and stay tuned as we continue to count down to Avengers.